So we're going to have a look at perimeter of shapes. And just as a very quick reminder, if you haven't come across that before, the perimeter is a name that we give to around the outside of something. You might have heard talk about the perimeter of a football pitch or of a running track or of a field. So perimeter just means the distance around the outside of a shape. It can be an irregular shape or it can be a formal shape like a square or a rectangle or a circle. So we're going to be looking at, first of all, at shapes on squared paper, and we're going to be working out how to find the perimeter of these objects. So in order to find the distance around the outside of the shape, we're going to basically think, another way of saying it is, it's the sum of the lengths of all its sides. Now remember, I put it in red, sum, to remind you that that means add up. So we're going to add up the lengths of all of the sides of the shape. So here's a couple of examples. We've got a rectangle here, and I put square, it's on squared paper, so we're basically going to count the length in terms of the number of boxes it goes along. We're not going to measure it in terms of centimeters. So we can take this rectangle and we can count along the top. And I'm going to put a little marker here. I'm going to put a little dot to say that's my start point, and I'm going to walk all the way around the edge. So if I go along the top here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes long. Okay, so I'd say the perimeter, the length of this top line is 5 boxes or units. If I then go down the right hand side, 1, 2, it's 3 boxes long. So I'm going to put a 3 there. And then I'm at this corner, I'm going to go back along 1, 2, 3, 4, another 5 boxes. I could have predicted that because it's a rectangle, which means the bottom line is the same length as the top. And on the left hand side, we know that's 3, we can count it, or we could say we've already counted 3. And if I go up to the top and back to my starting dot, so I know I've worked out all the lengths of my sides. So in this case here, if they add all the lengths of the sides, sum them all these numbers together, 5 and 3 and 5 and 3, we can say here that the perimeter is equal to 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3. It doesn't matter what order you put these in, of course. We know that 2 5s make 10 and 2 3s make 6. So altogether, we can say that the perimeter is 16. Now at the moment, I have I've not put any units in. It's not centimeters and stuff. So we could put boxes, or I'm just going to put in units like that. Okay. So let's have a look at this other shape. It's not quite as regular a shape as a rectangle. There's more sides to it. So I'm going to think about the perimeter here. I'm going to put a dot somewhere just as my starting point. There's my starting point. So I'm going to count along 1, 2, 3. Now be careful here because it goes up, and that's 1 box long, and then it's 1 box across. So I've got to count the up length and the across length. And now up at the top right here, I'm going to go down 4 boxes. And then I get to here, and then I'm going along 2, down 1, and along 2. And then I'm going to go up 4, and that's me go back to my dot. So I've got all these numbers to add together. Now you could count as you go along, and all you're doing is counting the total. And when it's boxes like that, that's okay. So the perimeter here is equal to, well, I've got all these numbers that I'm going to add together. I started at 3, and then I've got plus 1, plus 1, plus 4, plus 2, plus 1, plus 2, plus 4. I can always check how many numbers I've got by how many sides the shape has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So I haven't missed any out. And I can quickly go along. I'll do that in my head. 3 and 1 is 4, and 1 is 5, and 4 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 1 is 12, plus 2 is 14, plus 4 is 18. So my perimeter here is 18 units long. That's how long it is around the edge. So that's the first way we can work out the perimeter of a shape. So if you've got shapes like that, try and draw the shape in on your bit of paper and mark in the sides just to make sure that you're getting it really accurately. Okay, so the next challenge, or the next question, it looks like this. So here we have, I'm going to drag this in. It says here, on centimetre square paper, draw a shape with a perimeter of 10 centimetres and find its area. Okay, so you might have centimetre squared paper, but if you've got squared paper of any sort, then that's great. We'll just assume that the boxes are 1. So in other words, if you don't have centimetres, if every square is not 1 centimetre long, it might be half a centimetre, that's okay. We're just going to make it a perimeter of 10 boxes, okay, or 10 units. So we're still going to concentrate on the number 10. Don't worry if it's not centimetre boxes. Okay, so this question might say to you, draw a shape with a perimeter of 10 units and find its area. Now that's the space inside. We'll talk about that in a minute. So when you're told the perimeter and you've got to make up a shape, it's a wee bit more tricky. It sounds like it should be easy, but it might not be. So maybe one of the ways you could do it is just by starting from just any old way, okay? And just doing a bit of trial and error. Let your pen go for a bit of a wander. So I'm going to not use my ruler here at the moment. I'm just going to do a bit of freehand, and then I'll go back over it. I'm going to go along for 2. That's 1, 2. So I've got to get to, by 10, I've got to be back at my red dot, okay? And I'm only going to follow along and down. So I'm going to go, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've managed it, okay? So there's my shape. It looks like it's 10 boxes long. I've just done that literally by trial and error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that nicely with my straight edge, my ruler, because we don't like freehand shapes. There we go. So there's my shape. And I would maybe rub out this top one. So let's try another one, see if I can find another, because there's lots of, there's more than one possible answer here. So I'm going to put my red dot, and that says that's my starting point. I'm going to make sure I'm back to there. Now, one of the ways, particularly if it's an even number, okay, if it's an even number, you should be able to draw a rectangle. Okay, and the trick to this is if you take the even number and you divide it by 2, because basically a rectangle is composed of a length and a breadth repeated. Okay, so the length and the breadth is repeated for another length and breadth. So half of 10 is 5. It means that the length and the breadth together have to be 5. And as long as that's the case, we can draw a rectangle. We can actually draw a few. So in other words, I'm going to just use my ruler straight away here. As long as I draw a length and a breadth that adds up to 5, then I'm okay. So like 4 and 1 makes 5. So there's 4 and 1 makes 5. And if I then do another length and breadth, 4 and 1, then I know that I've got a perimeter of 10. Another way of doing that would be 3 and 2 make 5. So there's my rectangle, length and breadth 3 and 2. And then there's another 3 and 2. So I've actually drawn 3 shapes. I'm going to just get rid of my wee trial and error one. There's 3 shapes with a perimeter of 10. It says also find the area. Now remember the area is the space inside. In other words, how many boxes does it take up inside? So all we need to do for that is count the number of boxes inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for this shape here, we can say that the perimeter, I'll just use P for perimeter, is 10. 10 units, and we'll say the area is 5 what we call square units on a wee square. Okay, with the second one here that I drew, the rectangle, we've got the area is 1, 2, 3, 4. So although the perimeter is the same, the area might be different. So the perimeter here is also 10 units, but the area is only 4 square units. And the last one here, if you have a look, you'll notice that there's actually more boxes inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 boxes. So we can say here that the perimeter is also 10 units long, and the area here is 6 square units. So it's possible to have different shapes with the same perimeter, the same distance around the outside, but different areas inside. And that's an interesting idea. Okay, so have a look at that, try some of the problems that I'm going to give you, and let me know if there's any problems, and I'll help you with it.